shattered ceilings, broken chains, the double liberation of Black excellence. Thank you all for being here today. I'm honored to stand before you to share insights that have fundamentally shifted my understanding of what true empowerment means for Black professionals. These revelations came through my transformative conversation with Shareen Hatcher, a visionary leader whose work has ignited a revolution in how we approach Black excellence and leadership development. Shareen isn't just changing lives, she's rewriting the entire narrative of success for Black entrepreneurs and professionals. Her approach challenges conventional wisdom at its core, creating ripples that are transforming boardrooms, startups, and career trajectories across the nation. In a world of performative allyship, Shareen delivers authentic, actionable pathways to liberation that address both external barriers and internal limitations. What I'm about to share may challenge everything you thought you knew about empowerment. We've all heard the conversations about breaking glass ceilings, fighting systemic racism, and creating more equitable access to capital and opportunities. These battles are crucial, absolutely vital. But what if I told you that's only half the equation? What if the most insidious barriers to Black excellence aren't just the external ones we can see and name, but the invisible chains we've internalized after generations of being told to be smaller, to be grateful just for a seat at the table? This is the counterintuitive truth that emerged from my conversation with Shireen. True empowerment requires a double liberation. We must simultaneously dismantle the systems designed to exclude us while also liberating ourselves from the limiting beliefs we've absorbed from those very systems. Let that sink in for a moment. The most dangerous chains might be the ones we don't even realize we're wearing. Three powerful insights emerged from my conversation with Shireen that I believe can transform how we approach empowerment for Black professionals. First, your story, every single chapter of it, matters profoundly in shaping your leadership journey, not despite your challenges, but because of them. Second, building a thriving career or business as a Black professional requires both external resilience against systemic barriers and internal healing from generational limitations. And third, community isn't optional, it's essential. As Shireen powerfully states, community is your parachute. Without it, even the most talented among us risk a free fall. Let's explore these ideas more deeply. When we talk about our stories mattering, we're not dealing in empty platitudes. For generations, Black professionals have been pressured to fragment themselves, to code switch, to downplay certain aspects of their journey, to leave their authentic selves at the door. Consider the story of Spike Spondike at Monotype Imaging. Here's a global leader in type technology that took a radically different approach to talent. The design industry has historically been a fortress of homogeneity at senior levels. Creative professionals with non traditional backgrounds often find themselves relegated to the margins, their innovations overlooked, their perspectives dismissed. But Monotype recognized something revolutionary. Diversity of experience creates diversity of thought. They prioritized inclusive hiring practices and celebrated varied experience, including Spike's unconventional journey from musician to shipping container enthusiast to type designer. Think about that trajectory for a moment. In most companies, that resume would be discarded before the first interview. But Monotype saw value precisely where others saw irregularity. They understood that Spike's diverse experiences would bring fresh perspectives to their work. The result? The company earned recognition as one of Massachusetts' top workplaces and set a new standard across the tech and design industries. Their acquisition of Colophon Foundry expanded their creative reach, while new educational partnerships increased access for underrepresented groups. This example illuminates something profound that Shareen emphasized. When we bring our whole uncompromised selves to our work, when we honor every chapter of our stories, we don't just succeed despite our differences, we succeed because of them. But embracing our full stories isn't always easy, especially when we've internalized limiting beliefs about what's possible for us. This brings me to our second insight from Shireen: the need for both external resilience and internal healing. For generations, Black professionals have developed remarkable resilience in the face of systemic barriers. That strength is vital and should be celebrated. But alongside this external fortitude, we must also attend to the ways we've internalized limitations. Creative Nonfiction magazine featured stories that perfectly illustrate this dynamic. Women educators challenging gendered expectations in music instruction. These educators navigated environments where stereotypes dictated behavior, where they were expected to conform rather than lead authentically. Their solution wasn't just to push against external barriers, but to assert their individuality, even in seemingly small ways like rebelling against restrictive dress codes. These quiet acts of defiance weren't just personal choices, they were revolutionary statements that transformed their classrooms. The outcome was powerful: greater student engagement and teachers becoming role models for authenticity despite institutional pressures. These educators face double standards compared with male colleagues, but use creativity as quiet protest. They changed student perceptions around authority and inspired the next generation toward authenticity. While this example focuses on gender, the parallel to race is unmistakable and resonates deeply with what Shireen shared. Black professionals must often balance expectations versus authenticity at work. The most transformative leaders find ways to challenge not just external limitations, but also the internalized beliefs about what's possible or permissible for them. This brings us to Shireen's third insight: the critical importance of community as your parachute. In the 20-minute call podcast series featuring high achievers in skydiving, a field demanding extraordinary risk taking, the host spotlights dreamers who break molds through community support and personal growth journeys. The extreme sports community can be notoriously insular, with newcomers facing intense skepticism unless they prove themselves quickly. The podcast showcases stories where mentorship helps newcomers integrate safely while encouraging them not just to fit in, but to bring their whole selves into adventure. The result: diverse voices gain platforms previously reserved only for insiders, and more people see themselves reflected among high achievers. The show exists because so many inspiring stories were going untold until someone intentionally created space for them. Now, a growing audience finds inspiration in real life examples of perseverance beyond stereotypes. The broader adventure sports world has begun recognizing the value in amplifying all voices, not just those already established, which powerfully parallels entrepreneurship spaces. While not exclusively focused on race, this approach illustrates why representation matters, a lesson Shireen emphasized repeatedly. When we see others who look like us succeeding, especially in spaces where we've historically been excluded, it expands our sense of what's possible. It challenges the narrative that says certain spaces aren't for us. But community isn't just about representation, it's about active support, mentorship, and collaboration. Shireen spoke passionately about how isolation can be one of the most significant barriers for Black entrepreneurs and professionals. The antidote is intentional community building. This reminds me of the African proverb Shareen referenced. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. In a culture that often celebrates the myth of the solo entrepreneur or the self made success story, this wisdom offers a necessary correction. Sustainable success requires community. For Black professionals navigating spaces where they may be the only one in the room, finding or creating community becomes not just beneficial, but essential. It provides not only practical support and opportunities, but also emotional sustenance and a space where code switching isn't necessary. These insights challenge conventional wisdom about success and empowerment. They suggest that the path forward isn't just about fighting harder against external barriers, though that remains essential, but also about liberating ourselves from internalized limitations and building communities that sustain us. This approach doesn't minimize the very real systemic challenges that Black professionals face. Rather, it acknowledges those challenges while also recognizing the power we have to rewrite like narratives, both societal and personal. Shireen's work reminds us that empowerment isn't just about what we achieve externally, the positions we hold, the businesses we build, the wealth we create. It's also about internal liberation, about believing deeply in our worthiness, our capability, our right to take up space and pursue our visions without apology. In a world that has often told Black professionals to be grateful for a seat at the table, Shireen's message is revolutionary. You deserve to build your own table. And not only that, you deserve to design that table according to your own vision, to invite who you wish to join you there, and to lead with your full, authentic self. So I ask you today, what invisible narratives are holding you back? And what would happen if you chose right now to rewrite them? I challenge you to examine not just the external barriers you face, but also the internal limitations you may have accepted as truth. Question them, challenge them, rewrite them, find your community, those who will support you, challenge you, and remind you of your worth when you forget it. Be that person for others. Create spaces where authenticity is celebrated, not penalized. And remember that your story, all of it, is not a liability, but your greatest asset. The parts of your journey that seem most divergent from the traditional path may be precisely what equip you to innovate, to lead, to transform. The world doesn't just need more Black professionals succeeding within existing systems. It needs Black excellence reimagining those systems entirely. It needs your voice, your vision, your leadership, not despite your unique journey, but because of it. The double liberation from both external barriers and internal limitations isn't just about personal freedom, it's about collective transformation. When we liberate ourselves, we create new possibilities for those who follow. So go forth and break ceilings. Yes, but also break chains, especially the ones only you can see. Your liberation may be the blueprint someone else needs to find their own freedom. The world is waiting for the fullness of who you are. Don't make it wait any longer.